Thanks for doing this. I'm excited to talk to you because I love your takes on basically everything. I mean, I feel like you kind of just appeared out of nowhere. Like, at least in my view, it was just like, oh, everything was going on, and then
Mm.
Joan was everywhere.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
it's
weird
been a
because
takeover of LinkedIn.
I've been writing online for like well over a decade, and it's weird how suddenly it just you get a little bit of traction and you start to break through, and you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know what the piece is that's going to do it, but eventually, hopefully, if you show up long enough, it starts to work out.
Do you feel like there was a piece that did it that like made it
Yeah, I think
happen?
it was my essay on deleting my second brain
Yeah,
and moving away from knowledge management systems. I think
yeah.
that was one that did it, and I think it hit a nerve for people because a lot of folks feel like they are failures just because they don't have a perfect second brain knowledge management graph. And that's an
Yes.
awful way to feel about yourself, to feel like you are getting your life wrong because you don't have the right number of connected notes. It's a pretty
Hmm.
rough way to go through life. So I think
Hmm.
that one resonated with people. It's
Yeah.
funny though; it's not my first go at the roundabout. I actually had a blogging career before, and about a decade ago, I burnt the whole thing down and started from scratch. And so it's just been interesting doing it all a second time.
Why did you burn it all down?
Um, Two answers. The smarter answer is that I felt like the stuff that I was writing had drifted into the territory of just trying to write what people wanted to read.
Hmm.
I had a piece go viral because Craig from Craigslist shared it once, and then I
Hmm.
just went down that easy to fall into trap of just writing the same thing because that's what you think people want to hear.
Yeah.
That's the smart answer. The dumb answer is that I was drinking really heavily at the time,
Hmm.
and I got really drunk one night, and I deleted all of my blogs and social accounts, losing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers in the process because that's what that's what drinking a lot will do to you.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
good. Yeah. And so
Yes.
then after I eventually sobered up and realized that no, I did want to get back to writing, I had to build it all over again, which took a few years.
Damn.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
don't drink gin for breakfast, kids. It's a bad idea.
Don't drink and blog, folks. Do not
No,
drink and
no,
blog.
do not do that. Don't drink and shop either. I've done that too. Don't drink and shower because if you do that every day before work, eventually people start to cotton on. It's not a
Maybe
good
the
look.
answer is just don't drink. I
I
mean,
mean, for me, it has been. I'm 6 years
yeah.
sober now.
Congrats.
Thank you. I don't know if it'll be for life, but it's been for the last 6 years, and yeah, it's been good.
So, this conversation broadly is about AI and creativity.
Mm.
There's a lot of people talking about what AI will mean for the world, for the economy, all of that.
Yeah.
There isn't as much that we're seeing about people actually talking about how they use it as creatives, like people we really admire and want to
Mhm.
talk to, and then also how those people think it will change creative work
Yeah.
from the inside out, from the bottom up. So I guess to start, I know you, from what I've read and seen, it seems like you're not against AI or like for it. It seems like
Mm.
what I get from you is that like that's maybe even the wrong question.
Mm.
Um, and there's something more important and deeper that AI sometimes that our use and addiction to AI kind of brings to the fore.
Yeah. Mm.
So I'm curious, what is your kind of like, not position, but like, what's your AI
Mm.
vibe?
Yeah, I think broadly I would call myself um, a humanist. So I am a big believer in the human potential and in humans doing human things.
Yes.
And I think whatever we do with our work, with the things that we create with each other, we have to make sure that we keep as much of our humanity in the loop as possible. Because if we don't, I'm not sure what the point of any of this all actually is. And so
Yes.
the human being in the loop, that matters to me. That is a core value. When it comes to AI, things like that, I tend to see it as a tool. And it
Mhm.
can be a tool for great things. It can be a tool for really crummy things. It can be a tool for cool people and terrible people. And it can be a tool that can be used ethically or very unethically. But in that, it's very much a tool in the sense that everything else is a tool. And it's what we do with the things that we invent, with the technology that we invent, with the tools that we have, is what defines us. It's not the tool itself that does that work of definition. I think back to really early technologies, going back thousands and thousands of years. We invented fire. We didn't invent fire, we discovered fire, and we invented use cases for fire. And some of those use cases burnt down London, and some of those use cases burnt down Rome, and some of them just keep families warm and enable industry, all these other things. But fire itself is pretty neutral. To use a much more technologically themed element rather than just like a natural element, there's things we invent, there's things we discover. We invented the wheel. We did really cool things with the wheel, but the wheel also enabled mass warfare and things like that. It's what we do with these tools that matters more than the tool itself. I think tools are broadly pretty neutral, and most of the tech we invent is pretty neutral. It does come down to what we do with it. And I think if anybody knows anything about the Manhattan Project, you can see that there are moments when you have to think about what the tool you are building can enable. What's the worst use case? What's the worst thing somebody can do with something that you've built? But just because that use case exists doesn't mean that the tool itself is evil or a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm getting at here is just this sense of human responsibility. No matter what we create, and no matter what we use to create it, we still have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other to do things that are broadly right, to do things that are healthy for us, that will help each other, that will contribute to a flourishing of humanity rather than our destruction. And I think there are definitely arguments that some AI tools and some AI companies are not taking their stewardship of our humanity very seriously. And that's a terrible, terrible thing. But in so doing, I don't think they're any worse than anyone else with paradigm changing technology over the years. It really does come down to what you do with it and how you do with it and the way you think about humanity. So I'm not against AI. I'm not really for AI. I think it's a tool, and I think we all have to be in a position where we think carefully about that tool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that those questions exist on every plane, on every level, on the societal level, and then on the individual level of like, how do I use it to retain my humanity? How do I stay a human in the loop? And I'm curious, how do you stay as a human in your loop? And practically, like, what do you use it for? What do you find it useful for? How do you like it? What do you not like using it for?
I use AI to do the things I hate. That's really my rule of thumb. I hate coming up with titles for videos and essays. I hate coming up with subtitles for videos and essays. And so I will absolutely use an AI tool to generate a whole bunch of titles that I can test out on my blog, on YouTube, things like that. I really hate editing video. I hate editing video. It's not something I've ever enjoyed in my life. And so I'll happily use a tool like Descript to edit that video for me, to make a whole bunch of changes and tweaks and so on. Like I will very happily use a tool like that. I don't like making graphs, and I don't like making charts, and I don't like making slides. And so I use things like Eraser and Gamma to do those tasks for me. And any time where there is a task that I do not want to do, that I hate doing, that sucks the life out of me, that is when I will reach for an AI tool to do the job for me. And on the other side, there's the things that I love. The things that I love are sketching, drawing. I love making music and editing music. I really enjoy that. Most of all, I love writing. And these aren't things that I have any interest in outsourcing to an AI because I want to do them. I really do want to sit down and write. That is something that I look forward to every day. It's one of the best parts of my life is that I get to write as much as I do. So there's no way I want to just throw that out to an AI because I'm passionate about it. It is a good time. It is a damn good time to me. And so I look at that as in the same way as, I enjoy playing video games. I wouldn't set an AI bot to play my video games for me because I enjoy the thing. I want to do the thing.
Yeah.
So that is a really simple calculus. I will let AI do the things that I don't want to do, and then I will do the things that I want to do. And it does come down to something that simple. Do I want to do this? Well, fuck no, I don't. Well, then I'm gonna give it to Claude. Do I want to write this piece? Well, of course I do. I'm passionate about my blog. I'm gonna sit down and spend hours writing that on my free write. Like, I will do that, and that will be fun for me.
Okay, I love that, and I really like the video game thing. The complicating factor for me, and I think for a lot of creatives, or at least the drive I often feel when I find myself reaching for it with things I think I love doing, is time. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm I have to work. I have my creative stuff. I don't have enough time to do it. Let me see if I can, get a little shortcut, or it's the end of the day and my brain is like dumb. So maybe it can help me a little bit. You don't, that doesn't happen to you. You don't find yourself with that, or for the more like intellectually kind of deep stuff of people like having it review a draft and like push you on ideas, things like that.
I don't trust AI to review my drafts or to push me on ideas, because AI tends to just tell you what it thinks you want to hear.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you get a bunch of feedback on a draft and then you just reply to the feedback and say that feedback is wrong, then AI will say, you're absolutely right. Here's the opposite of that feedback. You can't trust it to give you a proper review, because it doesn't believe the things that it's telling you, because it can't believe the things that it's telling you.
Yeah.
If you send me a piece and you say, hey, can you give me some feedback on this writing? The feedback I give you is stuff that I believe to be true. And if you push back on it, I'm going to push right back on you, because I have read this piece and I have formulated an opinion on it based on my values and beliefs and experiences. And so you can trust that that is coming from me. You might disagree with it, but if you disagree, I'm not just going to backflip. And I think that's really important, because if you have an editor, if you have a review partner who is just a yes person, which is what AI is going to be, the quality of what you create will probably turn into a late stage Guns N' Roses album. It will not be good. I probably have a degree of privilege in terms of the writing, because it is most of what I do. It's not that I have to squeeze it in around other things. I mean, I have to squeeze it in around like parenting and so on, because that's the reality of life. But it's not like I have to squeeze in a few hours here and there to try to write my opus. I make a living by writing, and the writing connects me to a whole bunch of things. It connects me to my angel investing, into my work in comms and media and all that kind of. It does connect me to that stuff, but the writing is the core of it. And so I don't find myself trying to find a shortcut necessarily, because the writing is the work. That being said, I can understand that if writing is not the biggest priority for somebody, if their job is being a dev and they also need to write about the thing that they're building, I can understand that they might use an AI tool to do that. And I don't actually have a broad philosophical problem with somebody using an AI writing tool. But I do think that it is like the onus is on that person then to make sure that the humanity isn't stripped away from their work. So if you write a piece of software and then you use an AI tool to generate all the docs for that software, you still need to go through and read what has been generated and edit what has been generated. And I don't mean edit it to sound less like AI or edit it to match your voice. I mean edit it to be true and to be valuable and to be useful and to be something that can actually be applied by other folks.
Yeah, that idea of like responsibility feels really important. Right? Because like I've heard that from a few people in different ways of just like, no matter what, dude, like you are responsible. It's you. Yeah. You will you can't blame the AI.
Buck stops.
Yes. It's you.
And things with like creative writing and stuff like that. I don't really care whether or not somebody used AI to write
Mm,
something that I'm reading. I
interesting.
care if what I'm reading is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I enjoy what I'm reading, if I like it, if it resonates with me, if it makes me feel something, if it teaches me something, that's what I care about. If it doesn't do those things, then it is a piece of crap, and it can. Who cares? But I also broadly think that if a piece of work is generated entirely by AI and is good, well, then I can probably enjoy that. But I've
Mhm.
read a whole lot of things that have been written entirely by humans that I didn't enjoy, and
Right.
that's the way that goes too. Things are good
Right.
or they are bad. Um, Objectively speaking, something can be good or bad, but I
Mm,
don't think that that is dependent on the tool that has been used to produce it. I don't think that an Aphex Twin album produced on a I think what did he use? An Amiga? I think he used an Amiga in the 90s. Like drum and bass and techno and so on was
hmm
often produced on Amiga computers and things like that. I don't think something produced on that is better in any way than something recorded on tape by the Beatles just because of how it was put down.
Right.
I don't think something produced today on Ableton is any better or worse than something produced in the 90s on the software they had at the time. I just think it all comes down to whether or not it's good, and whether or not it's good is not dependent on the tool. It's dependent on whether or not it's good. There's a whole scene in not scene, a sketch in Portlandia where they're sort of riffing on people who are obsessed with the tools. You know, they have
hmm
this Fred Arneson plays a music producer who
hmm
is going around his studio pointing out, "Oh, this is the drum they used on Pet Sounds, and this is the thing they used on Pet Sounds. These are the keys they used to unlock the studio on Pet Sounds."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And just because you have these great tools doesn't mean you make great things.
Right.
And what you make comes down to what you make. Is it good or is it bad?
Why do you think then so many people have such a problem with consuming AI stuff?
I think part of it is a deep existential fear of being replaced.
Yeah.
And for creatives, this makes a lot of sense. You know, we are talking about writers and designers and music producers, musicians, songwriters, and so on, who have spent the last 30 years having their work devalued by
hmm
a lot of folks in tech. I
hmm
think that's where it comes from. Like, people aren't afraid of being replaced in a vacuum. They're afraid of being replaced because a lot of folks in tech have spent the last 30 years trying to replace or devalue them.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we have gone from an album costing $10 to $20, and people buy an album, and then the musician gets paid because they bought the album, to artists not being able to make a living because all of the music gets streamed on Spotify. When you look at that, when you feel it in your bones, when you feel just how much has been taken away from creatives, I think it is a very understandable human reaction to then say, well, is AI going to make this worse? Is
hmm
AI going to replace the very act of creation, because tech has already replaced all our income streams and tech has already devalued us? What's AI going to do?
hmm
And so it's not so much a fear of consuming AI content, it's a fear of being replaced, of the human being removed from the equation.
Yeah.
And it's a very valid fear. It's a very understandable fear. And tech has done a lot of disservices to creative folks and creative industries.
hmm What advice then would you have for people who do fear that? you
There's
know?
not a whole lot that can be done to stem the tide of technology.
Yes.
And it's not to say that you should just abandon all hope or abandon your humanity or abandon anything, really. But it is to say that attempting to hold back the tide probably won't work.
hmm
You can make decisions for yourself on your own, and that's probably the better move. If you're an artist, I think you're better off focusing on creating the art that you want to make and doing it the way you want to do it and sharing it the way you want to share it. Putting your energy into that instead of putting your energy into hating or trying to fight against AI. because the one is creative and the other is reactive. And I think you'll be happier if you put that energy into your work, into the actual work itself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you'll have a happy life if you dedicate however much time to trying to prevent ChatGPT. I think you'll, which isn't to say that you should just give everything up and just start using all the AI tools tomorrow if you don't want to use them. If you don't want to use them, don't use them. But do what you want to do and do it for you rather than for anyone else. I understand this is a really scary time and it's terrifying for everyone. We don't know what the world's going to look like in the next few years. Economic anxiety is at a massive high. Housing affordability is screwed everywhere around the world. Jobs are disappearing. Incomes have not risen in line with the cost of living. All of that is terrifying for a lot of people. But I don't think that fighting against AI is going to stop any of that or fix any of that. I think it'll just burn a lot of energy and leave a lot of folks feeling pretty disheartened and lost when they can't fix it all. Yeah, I think the best thing you can do as a creator is create. Do it your way. Do it how you want to do it. Do it because you're passionate. Do it because you love it. Make what you want to make, and then trust that you will either find an audience or you won't. And that's pretty much all you can do.
Right before this, I was watching your Output Native video on YouTube. I really like it, and it made me think of that. The one thing that is hard for me, and I think for a lot of people, is like, because I do a lot of comedy stuff, and I think you play around with comedy, absurdism, shitposting, all that stuff is like, it's comedic.
Oh, I'm just a bit of a troll, a little bit of a troll, yeah.
But trolling is also comedy. Trolling has gotten a bad name, but trolling is trying to get an emotion out of other people, right? It's not. It's not for you, or I guess it is for you, but it comes by way of another, right? Like it's not a solo work, and neither is comedy. And I think a lot of people who work online, a lot of artists in general, like they need the audience, and they do it for the audience. I guess I'm curious how you think about that, because like you have an active audience on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and all these places, and it seems like you're in conversation with it. But I'm curious how much that's true.
I mean, I think I would pretty much be doing what I do, regardless of whether or not I have an audience.
Really?
And that's borne out by the fact that I have a whole lot of creative things that I do that other people just have no idea about, because I just do them sort of quietly in the background. I have an entire noise music project that people don't know about because I don't really tweet about it or promote it. I just make stuff and put it online, put it on SoundCloud.
I didn't know you were into music at all until this conversation, and it seems like it's a very big part of your life.
Before I spent years as a touring musician. I am a trained audio engineer. You wouldn't believe it, but I have a whole life in music, sort of alongside what I was doing in tech and writing.
That's wild.
I've always loved music, and to this day, I still fire up Ableton and I work on sort of like drone noisecape stuff inspired by people like Merzbow and Swans and stuff like that. I love music and passionate about it, and I make it because I want to make it, not necessarily because I want to go and play stadiums somewhere. And so I make stuff and I put it on SoundCloud and I see what happens. But I do it because I care about it and because I want to do it. And with the writing and so on, I have been writing online for over 10 years now. Well over 10 years now. I started when I was a teenager. And I would be writing if it all went away. It's what I do, really, as I write. It's easy for me to say that because I have an audience, and so everyone can just hear that and say, well, that sounds really nice, but clearly they're full of shit. And anyone's welcome to think that. But what I would put to you is, do you really think I'd be doing this if I wasn't passionate about it? because at the end of the day, there's a lot of crap out there that you have to deal with when you create anything online, when you find an audience and so on. And I'm sure I would have a much happier life in some regards if I hadn't dropped out of law school. But I did drop out of law school, and I did it to do this. And if this all goes away, it all goes away. We'll find out what happens. Yeah, I mean, look, I would rebuild again because I've done that before. Because I did literally delete everything in a drunken fit of pique. So I do know what it's like to start from scratch because I've done it twice.
Yeah. It's funny. For some reason the question popped into my head of like, you know how everyone's always like, what would you do if you couldn't fail? I feel like a much better question is like, what would you do if you knew you were gonna fail? Like, no matter what, you would fail. Anything you did, it's gonna be a failure, guaranteed. What would you still want to do? That seems like a better question.
I mean, if I knew I'd 100% fail, I would join the military because at least I'd get kicked out and I wouldn't have to actually do anything.
That's right. I'd probably go work for Trump and try to like destroy him from the inside.
Yeah, I don't know. I operate on the basis of we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know really where things are going to turn up. And there's an old parable about that. I can't remember the exact details, but it's something like a man's son falls off a horse and breaks his leg, and then people come and say that's such a terrible thing, he broke his leg, and the man says we'll see. And then the next day people come around trying to conscript people to go and fight in a war, and his son can't go and fight in the war, and people say, isn't that wonderful, he can't fight in the war because his leg's broken, and the man says we'll see. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to work out your way or someone else's way or anyone's way, and all you can really do is let it unfold. And you can try to shape it and guide it, and at the end of the day, you are the navigator. The winds will take you somewhere, and you can steer as much as you can, but you don't know. We'll see.
Are you a spiritual person? You seem very like Zen, very like, I don't know, very even keeled.
It's easy to think that if you don't live with me. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'll say that. I would like to be Zen. But you would have to ask my kid, my partner, and my 2 cats if I'm actually Zen, because they'll.
What do you think they would say?
I think I'd say I have my moments. Every now and then, the existential dread gets to me, or the dishes pile up, and all I can see are dishes, and in those moments, I get very stressed, and that's just what it's like being a human being sometimes, I think.
That's right.
But it's not so much that you are Zen and therefore life is good. It's that every day you wake up and you try to be as calm as you can be and face life with the best energy and the best intentions that you can. And some days you'll get it right and some days you won't. But you just keep on trying, which is very much sobriety. I didn't quit drinking 6 years ago and then I was sober. It's just, I got to tell you, 6 years in, I wake up every morning and honestly, I want a gin and tonic every day. Not a day goes past where I don't have at least one moment where I can't stop thinking about how good a gin and tonic would be. It doesn't help that I have gin and tonic tattooed on my wrist. It's a constant reminder. But every day is a decision to not get a gin and tonic for breakfast. And it's the same with everything else. You do have to just keep on trying, keep on making that decision and see what happens.
I feel calmer having this conversation. I feel like my nervous, you're settling my nervous system. So thank you.
I'm glad.
I do want to talk about how you said about the like absurdism shit posting is the defense against AI. I think that could be good advice possibly for creatives, but I'd love for you to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, AI is mostly going to make what makes sense because it it produces based on its consumption and training, based on the mainstream, based on the entirety of human knowledge. And it is it is the sum of who we are, and so it will make what is most expected. But I think that means that it can't make what is weird. It can't make things that are truly weird because it doesn't know how, and it can't really go against the weighted sum of what humans generally tend to create. Which means that as a whole, yes, it can produce things that will rival Katy Perry's greatest hits. It can produce books that will rival James Patterson's greatest novels. But I don't think it will ever produce something like Merzbow. Japanese noise made from the sounds of seals and distorted drill bits. It won't make that because it's not what most people want. So it's not what most people have made. So it's not what it's trained on. And so I think that the things that are whacked out and weird and completely unexpected, it's always going to come from a human. I don't think AI can do necessarily what is completely unexpected. It wouldn't think to do that. I don't think AI control, not effectively. AI can generate farms of trolls, but it can't actually troll people.
Right.
Not in the way that a human can. AI is not going to create a band like
trolling.
AI won't create music like Beat Summer. I don't know if you're familiar with Beat Summer, but 80s indie pop band. They sort of invented twee, I guess, but it was just so rough and sometimes really out of time and often completely off key, and they really didn't know how to make music. They just made sounds that they liked. AI is not going to do that because it makes music that makes sense. And AI writes books that make sense. AI is not going to sit down at a typewriter like Kerouac and just stream of consciousness write a novel based on, it can't do that. It can't be like William Burroughs and print stuff out and cut it up with scissors and paste it back together and so on. It won't do these things that are so weirdly, stupidly human. And that means that the opportunity is for humans to do human things.
Right. And the thing that makes me feel really okay is that if the AI did ever do that stuff, then those people wouldn't do that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if an AI cut up paper into poems, then William Burroughs would have done something else. He'd be like, that shit sucks. He'd do something weird. Like the response will always be weird. And it can't ever get ahead of that.
I am, as always, reminded of Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. I think the human in us is always going to find a way. I don't know what it will look like. None of us really know what it will look like. But it will find a way. And at the end of the day, most people are probably going to want... Sorry, most people are going to want the mainstream, the slick. Most people will want that. And you know this because most people actually want Katy Perry. Most people want Katy Perry. They don't want Beat Summer. But there will always be some people who want Beat Summer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you only have to go on the internet.
It's not Beat Summer. I'm getting this.
Like it was already full. Okay.
I need to double check.
The internet's full of slop. Like already, it didn't need AI for that. It was pretty sloppy,
Beat Happening. That's the band. I was getting that wrong. It's Beat Happening.
Okay.
Beat Happening. Sorry if I didn't correct that. It was going to annoy the hell out of me for the rest of my life. Beat Happening. Indian song.
I'm going to listen
That's
to
what it is.
I'll check them out.
Sorry, if I don't correct something that I've got wrong, it will kill me.
Yeah. There's the McLuhan thing of, the medium is the message. And, I feel people talking about that a lot around all technology, right? But I haven't heard a good argument or answer to if AI is the medium, what is the message? What do you think the message is then?
I don't think I super care. Um,
I think that's the right answer. I think that's the best
yeah,
answer.
I mean, I think we can over intellectualize a lot of this stuff. And whenever people quote Marshall McLuhan, I always go back to another one of his quotes, which is, "I don't always agree with everything I say."
Mm,
I think it's all pretty
fair.
much open to interpretation. Medium is the message. People love that.
People
I
love
think
that
the
shit.
message is, I think broadly, the message that humans have is always the same message, repeating in 10 to 25-year cycles. And we just keep saying largely the same thing over and over again.
Which is?
It depends on the context and the field, but in terms of AI, you go back to Jane Austen's time, and there were a whole lot of people who were really, really pissed that the novel was becoming popular because the novel would destroy the youth. And then you can see the same arguments in radio and TV and streaming and smartphones and AI, that all these new fangled trends and inventions are going to destroy humanity. And I think every medium just embodies that message over and over again. And what is that message? It's probably a message about how humans don't like change and how we fear the unknown and how we are comfortable with the things that our generation likes and we don't like what the next generation likes and so on. And I'm guilty of that. I fucking hate TikTok. I really do. I cannot stand TikTok. But rather than writing diatribes about TikTok, I think I more just go, well, I don't necessarily understand TikTok. And if I want to have a legacy that is a little bit better than people who hated Jane Austen because she wrote novels, then I've probably got to accept that there is stuff that I don't understand in the world, and I don't have to understand it. And just because it makes me uncomfortable doesn't mean that it is a terrible, terrible thing that shouldn't exist.
Right.
There are some terrible, terrible things that shouldn't exist. There absolutely are. But I'm not going to list them, because as long as I don't list them, then I can't sound like an old person shouting at clouds. So, I think what I'm trying to say here is that most of our messages are just the same message. We just keep repeating them in different mediums.
Yeah, and I the move of sort of avoiding the trap that is like, sort of opining just to have a opinion and or like rallying against a thing.
Yeah.
To just kind of sidestep all that seems really wise.
And
it's so hard.
I don't think I care about a lot of stuff that I used to care about. I used to really care about a lot more than I do now. But I have sort of recognized,
like what's the thing
over
you used
time,
to care about?
That not everything has to be a fight, and the stuff that does have to be a fight doesn't always have to be my fight. And it is okay if I don't always want to be in the ring swinging. And this probably sounds hypocritical when you go through my threads feed and you see me bitching and complaining and screenshotting stupid things and sharing them. But broadly speaking, it's not that I'm doing that because these things are eating away at me. It's just because I feel like doing that thing. But this stuff is
a little bit of the trolling.
Yeah, it's the trolling, yeah. But it's not necessarily that it's taking up that much of my space or that much of my mental energy and that kind of thing. Yeah, broadly speaking, not everything has to be a fight, and the stuff that does have to be a fight doesn't have to be my fight. And I also think there is something dangerous in believing, we act like if we're not speaking up about every single issue on the planet, we are bad people, and so is being silent on this issue, and therefore they are a fascist. But I don't think life is actually as simple as all that, and I hope life is not as simple as all that. I think I think people can contain multitudes, and not everyone has to be angry about the same thing. And some people can be angry about other things, and that's okay. And I think that the world is often a very fucked up place. But if you go back through history, the world is often a fucked up place. But that didn't mean that other things couldn't happen at the same time. I just I worry that if we fall down this trap of believing that everything is an eternal struggle and there can be no space for anything except struggle, I worry about where that leaves us, because it seems like a pretty miserable way for humanity to exist. We've got to leave room for joy and for creating and for making and for dancing. You got to leave room for dancing.
I want to get into the like AI recipe part of just like kind of how you use it, if there is a use. But I have one more question before that, which is, you also run a PR company, right? A PR comms company. Yes. And so you work with a lot of founders, I assume companies.
Yeah.
What would you say, or what do you say to them as they kind of try to figure out their existence in a AI world, or how does that usually look with these companies? Are they freaking out? Do they not care? What is that looking like?
Again, it's hard to find a general response from everyone about this. Everyone's got a different.
What are some of the responses?
But I think a lot of people are afraid of being left behind, which is the flip side of the fear of being replaced. It's the fear of not being into AI enough. There is certainly that fear. So people are trying to catch up, trying to think about how we can implement these tools. Is the window closing? Are we going to just be obsolete? And that kind of thing. My job is really, when it comes to the media and comms thing, my job is the message. My job is to help people shape a message and then share it. I don't tend to work with people if I don't think they have an actual message worth sharing. I will say no to. I will say no to dog walking marketplaces and things like that, where I just don't think there is a message of value or anything interesting there. But I do say to folks, look, I believe that you have something worth putting out into the world, and here's how we can do it, and here's how it can resonate with people. But I tend to really emphasize that human element that we've talked about. The human is important to me. For example, there are a lot of PR software platforms out there that use AI to generate lists of reporters, and they use AI to scrape the internet and find contact details of reporters and podcasters and YouTubers. And they use AI to generate pictures, and they use AI to send the pictures. And then the journalists use their human intuition to read that slop and then say, well, fuck that company. I'm never going to cover them because they can't treat me like a human being. And that happens a lot. Right. I've been on the journalist side. I have been a tech journalist. A lot of my friends are journalists, and they hate the way AI is swamping them with information. They just cannot stand it. So Signalverse, which is my comms agency, we're about to launch a PR project management tool called Wire. And the whole idea behind Wire is it is a simple tool for managing campaigns and managing outreach with no AI. You can't import spam lists of journalists. You can't send spam emails. All you can do is plan out and carefully manage your campaigns and your pitches and your relationships with journalists. And it's sort of a reflection of my approach to media and comms, which is a human approach. There are enough people out there who will use ChatGPT to spam all the journalists and substackers in the world. And all those journalists and substackers will hate you for it. And so to stand out, you've got to be a human. You've got to be a person. You've got to treat other people like they are people. And I think you can extrapolate from that a pretty clear principle. If you are building software, if you're building a service, if you're building an agency, whatever you're doing, you have to treat the person on the other end like a person. And that's what matters. And I can promise you that every journalist out there knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Cool. Let's jump to recipes. So you kind of already talked me through some of just like where you use AI, how you generate titles, for example, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I pretty deliberately don't use tools that have AI built into them. I use specific AI tools for specific things. So, for example, I'm not a big fan of Notion with built-in AI. You press a button and AI is
Yeah.
right there for you necessarily. I like to draft a piece in Obsidian or AI Writer. Actually, I'll take a step back further. A piece that I write starts on my free write, which is a smart typewriter. Without an internet connection, without it's just a tool. It's literally just a typewriter that I write on. You can kind of see it. Sort of, it's here. That keyboard there it's a smart typewriter. And so I sit at that writing desk and I draft a piece. And then when I finish drafting a piece, I use the file sync to upload it to the internet. Then I come over here to this desk where I have my laptop and I download that file and I put it into Obsidian and I do my tweaks and I do my finishing bits and so on. And yes, I could use a ChatGPT plugin in Obsidian, but I prefer not to do that at the moment. So I finish the piece in that piece of software. And then I will take that text and I'll put it into Claude and I'll say, can you generate some blog titles for this piece? And it will do its job. But I'm a big fan of using a specific tool to do a specific thing. I don't like to use necessarily hybrid tools. I like to have one tool for one job, and that's what I use, and that's what I get done. And I really do a lot of things manually. There are workflows that I've seen where I could automate that process. I could get a file from this place and put it into Obsidian and then run an edit on it and then automatically move that file across to ChatGPT and generate titles and so on, but I don't like doing that. I don't so much have recipes or workflows as I have tools that I like to use for specific purposes. And the way I do something might change on a day-to-day basis. I might feel like doing something very differently today than I do tomorrow. So, I might really want to write a piece in AI Writer. Sorry, I'm in IA Writer today. And then tomorrow I'll use Obsidian again for my drafting. And then the next day I might just really want to write the piece on Apple Notes on my phone. It just depends on the day. And so rather than having like recipes or workflows, I sort of go where it takes me, and I use the tool I feel like using at the time, and that's okay. So yeah, like I said, again, there are no complicated workflows here. It is just
that's cool.
I find a tool that I like and I use it for that purpose. I have played around with the way you can connect Claude to Google Drive, and I've played around with the MCP protocol. Once again, though, I really do prefer to do things as manually as possible. I would rather copy and paste something from Obsidian into ChatGPT and then copy and paste it out than connect it all up and have it flow through the apps. And I can't exactly articulate why I prefer doing it that way, but I like being the human in the mix. I'm a believer in friction.
Okay,
faster and smoother is not always better. I like a little bit of friction. I like working a little bit slower, and I like being able to trust that what I'm doing is what I want it to be doing because I'm doing it. There's no agent in the mix doing things for me. If I do start to use more complicated AI recipes or workflows, again, it will be based on that principle of I don't want to do this thing, therefore I'll find someone else to do it.
Okay, this is just a side question, but like, how are you? You seem so confident in what you believe. Like, is there a lot of doubt in you and your beliefs, or do you just like not have that?
Beliefs as in,
like you're just like, oh, this is how I want to do things, and then you're like, that's gonna be the way. Whereas I'm like, maybe this is how I think I want to, but I'm probably kind of an idiot. So like, there's probably better ways to do it. So I need to like,
No, I firmly believe that there are better ways of doing everything that I do. And I firmly believe that there are better
you don't
tools
care.
than the tools that I use. The thing is, you can spend the rest of your life chasing that because there will always be a better workflow and there will always be a better tool. You can spend the rest of your life jumping from one amazing tool to the next. But I mean, thinking about note-taking tools, I've used Apple Notes and Obsidian and Capacities and AnyType and Notion and Evernote and all these other. I've used all these tools, and for the most part, they let you do the same thing, which is writing down some notes, and so whichever one you want to use is fine because there will probably be a better tool out there, but the best tool is probably the one that you've got, and that's okay. You know, my brother, he's a philosopher and a speechwriter, and he doesn't use any of these tools. He uses a notebook. He writes everything down by hand, and he gets about as much done as I do, and that's fine. And so it's not that I know that my way is right; it's that I know that my way is wrong. Like I know that my way is probably inefficient, and that everyone else probably has better ways of doing things than I do. But that's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I find that pretty profound. I feel like that's a very profound place to be, is being okay with like, yeah, I'm probably wrong. It's fine.
I mean, there are
like that seems like the only antidote.
There are people out there who are happier than me, and people out there who are hungrier than me, and I get to just be me, and that's okay.
Very zen, I gotta say. It's very zen.
No, but I mean, you know what I mean, though. Like, there is. You go on Product Hunt. There is always a new thing launching. There is always something new that you could be using. In your email apps, there's Hey, or there's Superhuman, or there's Shortwave, and I know all these apps because everyone is talking about them, but they don't. I send as many emails when I'm using Apple Mail, so.
God, but the pull of these new apps is so strong. It's so strong.
It really is. And don't get me wrong, I do try them. When a new thing launches, I'll give it a try. I'll do a free trial. I'll see what it's like, and I'll find things I like about it. But the odds are eventually I'll just go back to probably using Apple Mail or Obsidian, or every now and then I jump back to using Hey because I like the way Hey email kind of works. But for the most part, I'll just use what I've got.
So to end, we'll do a speed round. So these are just quick questions. Feel free to, a couple words, a sentence, answer, whatever. So the first one is, how would you describe your relationship with AI? Is it an assistant, a partner? People have called it like their nurse. What kind of relationship do you have with it?
It's an employee. I pay it to do things for me that I don't want to do. It is just an employee.
Great.
And that's about it. I wouldn't say I have a relationship with AI. In fact, it might even be less than an employee. It might be, God, I don't know. I would not say I have any kind of connection to any of the AI tools or agents or bots or platforms that I've ever used. And I find it really hard to understand people who form like an attachment to AI because I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Closest thing is
what do you wish? What do you wish AI could do but fear it never will?
Disagree with me. I'd like AI to be able to disagree with me and tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah. We've had a couple people say that as the answer in the series. Yeah. Everyone's making predictions about AI. Let's make a prediction about humans. Where do you think humans will be in 10 years?
Probably killing each other over the same pieces of land as their grandparents and complaining about pop culture.
What question about AI and creativity isn't being asked enough?
Are you happy?
Hmm.
You know, are you happy with what
Are
you're
you
making?
happy?
Yeah, I mean, broadly speaking, I think I'm as happy
Nice.
as I'm gonna be. I've got a very comfortable home that I like living in, and I've got a kid that I'm pretty proud of, and a partner I love, and two cats that are assholes, but I do love them. And I'm looking after a dog who I really like, and I have more food on my table than I had growing up.
Mm.
I can play a lot of video games if I feel like it, if I've got the time. I've got a lot of books. Yeah, that's cool. I'm broadly as happy as I'm likely to be.
Mm. How old is your kid?
He's 8.
Okay. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Enjoy this age. It's a really good age. Eventually, they start talking
Yeah.
to you about Fortnite. Yeah,
We're not doing that yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like Fortnite, but that's okay. I don't have to like these things.
Yeah. Last question. What do you wish people talked about more instead of AI?
I wish people spent more time talking about things they love. You know, I wish people spent more time being like, I fucking love this thing that I found, and here's why. And then I wish that people reading that would go, that's cool that you love that. Here's something that I love, instead of going, fuck you for loving that thing. You know, I just wish we spent more time talking about the things we love. And I am 100% guilty of not doing that. And I want to be better at talking about things that make me passionate. And something that, you know, I wish I spent more time talking about things I love. Make of that what you will.
Yeah. A couple people I've heard that. I have a post for my Substack that's almost done, just called Stuff I Love. And it's just a list of just like random
like
little
that.
things.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's the interview. We did it.
Fun.
Thank you so much.